Hi, I'm Scott Wrighton, and I serve as Decatur City Manager, and it's my pleasure week in and week out to give you updates of what's going on with your Decatur City government. So at the last City Council meeting on August 16th, the City Council discussed a lot of different things that are sort of the bread and butter of city government. For example, we approved a contract for some additional sidewalks on the periphery of the Johns Hill area through the generosity of the Howard Buffett Foundation. He's making a tremendous investment in infrastructure in that area for streets and sidewalks and curb and gutter and other infrastructure. But the periphery streets around it, Cantrell, Jasper, Wood, and Martin Luther King are not a part of that project. So we decided that this would be an important project to partner with the Buffett Foundation. So we're putting in some additional sidewalk upgrades that the council approved on Cantrell and on Jasper and on Wood Street. In addition, the city, these are sort of the nuts and bolts of what city governments do. We also approved a contract with a company that does what's called internal lining or in situ forming of our sanitary sewer systems. Now this sounds like it's pretty boring, but the problem with any municipal sewer system, and Decatur is no different, is that it leaks. And both groundwater and rainwater get into the sewer system, and a little bit is okay. But if there's too much storm sewer water that gets into the sewer system, then it will surcharge and it can back up both onto the streets or more likely in the individual basements. And we don't want that to happen. The city's done a lot over the last several years to improve its sewer system so that the number of basement backups of sewer in the city has radically decreased. We haven't eliminated them, but we've radically decreased them through lots of different programs. And one of the programs is this lining of the sewers. Because a sewer line over time can settle, it can crack. There could be people who've tied into it legally or illegally and maybe not done a good job. And so groundwater and rainwater will get into the sewer. And to the extent that we can line them, it's this special in situ form lining sort of sets up almost as strong as concrete. So it really buys an extra 20 years of life in some of our sewer systems. So it's much cheaper that way as a way of maintaining our sewer system and doing so in a way that isn't tremendously disruptive for the neighborhoods. When we have to replace a sewer, that's an open trench right through the center of the street sometimes. So here's a way to do it where we just are entering the sewer at the manholes 400 or 500 feet apart and doing this work. But it's incredibly important to reducing the infiltration and inflow into the sewer that directly results in backups. Furthermore, we're required by an arrangement we have with the United States Environmental Protection Agency to do these kinds of things because they want to see those backups decrease. They want to see those surcharges of sewage into the creeks and streams decrease, and we've been very successful at doing that. So that was on the agenda as well. Perhaps more significant is an action by the City Council at the last meeting to approve a construction of a new fire station over on the east side of the city. Now, east of Lake Decatur right now, most of the city is serviced by fire station number 7, which is located at the Decatur Airport. That's never really been the best location for servicing all the area of the city that's east of the airport. Furthermore, the city doesn't own the building. We've been leasing it from the Park District. So several years ago, the city hired a consultant called Dewberry Associates who helped us evaluate which of our stations just needed to be upgraded and remodeled a little bit, which ones needed to be replaced. And they said, remodel 4 of them and replace 3 of them, those being station number 5, which has been rebuilt, and a new one has been built up on the north side of Mound Road near Target. The second one is still under construction, but is nearing the end of construction on Fairview, near Fairview Plaza. And that will be completed later this year, and then we will probably sell old fire station number 3 at the corner of El Dorado and Fairview. The last one is station number 7, and so we'll be leaving the airport location, and we bought property near the corner of 36th Street and US 36, sort of near the Chevy Museum there on the east side of the city. So we've acquired that property, and now we've awarded a contract to build a station that in nearly all respects is going to be a carbon copy, if you can say that, of the station number 3 over on Fairview. In that way, we saved a lot of design costs and, as it turns out, construction costs by basically following the same design for all 3 of the stations rather than having to redesign them each time. So that too also makes good use of the taxpayer's dollar. Ironically, the fire chief from the late 1960s recommended this location, not this specific location on Chestnut, but generally the area around 36th Street and US 36 as the best location more than 50 years ago for servicing all of our residents that are there on the east side of the city. Another important decision that the City Council made at the City Council meeting was they approved an agreement, a right-of-way agreement, with a company called SciFi Networks. SciFi Networks builds broadband networks very much like the city is already building in the city. The problem is that the city's system only services commercial, non-residential organizations, and we have, even after several years, have only run it to less than 10% of the city. So even with additional funding that both the state and federal government have provided for broadband, it's going to take us 15 to 20 years to do full build out of the system. But here was a private company willing to take the same 144 pair broadband and extend it to the entire city, residential parts everywhere, in between 3 and 4 years, and do so in a way that was non-exclusive, and do so in a way that would bring a lot of other internet service providers to the community, offering a very competitive rate and expansion of services. This is important for us because it enables the city to achieve some of its, what we call smart city objectives, much more rapidly. By that I mean, there's ways that we can do a better job of providing services using technology, whether that's remotely controlling traffic signals or monitoring our pumps for the water and sewer system, or monitoring parking conditions in our parking garages and other public parking areas, and do so remotely. These are ways to enhance services and oftentimes do them better, faster, or cheaper. But all of them require that we hook up to reliable broadband. And so this will enable us to reach parts of the city that our current system doesn't reach. And it will provide a revenue source for the city as well. So in many different respects, this is really a game-changing event, and the City Council was pleased to move forward with that. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the health department has reported that our COVID numbers are up, sadly. The vaccination rate for Macon County is still just over 40%. I cannot emphasize enough that vaccination is your best defense against getting the virus, and that even if you do get the virus, the likelihood of having serious reactions to it are less. People who have had breakthrough events have an easier time of the virus if they've had at least one vaccination. Macon County is considered a high transmission county at the current time. We hope those numbers will go down, but right now we are considered a high transmission county. And what that means is that indoor masking is highly recommended. It is not technically required because of that status. So if you have not been vaccinated, it is a requirement. Now, for some time, the city of Decatur, like many other buildings and organizations throughout the city that have made their own decisions about how to keep their employees and their customers safe, they've made their own decisions about that. And we have required that if somebody is not vaccinated, that they wear a mask. Now, it has been on an honor system, and because of the numbers going up the way they have, we may be reevaluating that and actually requiring some proof of vaccination if you're not going to wear the mask. But as with so many other aspects of the pandemic, we have to adjust to changing situations, to the recommendations both of the health department and the CDC, as well as our knowledge of our own experiences and what's been happening here in Macon County. So the mayor and council and the staff of the city take all those things into consideration as we make these decisions, all of it motivated first and primarily about how do we keep our citizenry safe. We can't do that without your help, so thank you for your help. That's why we provide this information to you, and I look forward to bringing you another update next week.